Good evening, Corona Daze Professional Development Group. This is Danette Edwards. I'm here this evening with Crystal Williams. Ms. Williams is the Chief Career Transitionist of the U Brand Academy, LLC, and I'm going to turn it over to her immediately. This evening, she's here to talk to us about Resume Reconstruction 101. Again, that is Resume Reconstruction 101. You guys asked for this one, and here she is. But first, can you, Ms. Williams, tell us a little about yourself before you begin? And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and stop my video. Okay? Thank you.
Absolutely. Before I even go into talking about myself, I want to say thank you for allowing me to present on your platform. It's definitely amazing. Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Williams. I'm the Chief Career Transitionist of the U Brand Academy. It is my career branding firm where I set people up and position and empower them to go from one career to the next career or from one employer to the next employer. It really depends on your trend, on your situation. And I also set you up for success. And we really work on people's sanity, making sure they're happy within their career journey. I believe no one should sacrifice their happiness, their peace, their joy, and their sense of self-fulfillment within their 9-to-5 career journey. So that's just about my business in a nutshell. Besides that, I am a philanthropist through my nonprofit, the First Suit Project, where we help HBCU students get equipped, get the necessary equipment they need in order to interview or in order to attend a prominent event within their community or so forth. And other than that, I do a lot of other things, but I'm just happy to be with you guys today in order to help you reconstruct your resume. So, Danette, did you want to say anything else?
No, you can go right ahead. I'm sorry, Crystal, but I just want to say, you said thank you for having you on my platform. This is our platform. You're a CDPD member. You know,
Yes.
we are here for everyone, and you are a member. This is our platform. You're welcome to come back if you like. Okay, so thank you.
Well, thank you for that correction. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, so let's jump right on in. Talking about resumes is one of my favorite topics because your resume is the foundation. This is the foundation document you need in order to begin your job search. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. As you see, there is a quote on the bottom. I always tell people, it says, before you can enhance the brand of anybody else's company, your brand must be polished. And your resume, you guys, is a part of your brand messaging, how you look on paper. Okay, this is how you look on paper. And my personal goal for my clients and for you guys is to definitely look indispensable on paper. That's indispensable on paper. So what that means is, if you don't know what indispensable means, it means you look absolutely necessary. You look absolutely necessary to the employer that you want to work for. And they're saying, I need you. So this is why I'm so passionate about resume reconstruction, and that is why resumes is so important within your career journey, especially when you're trying to level up, especially when you're trying to go from one career to the next or from one employer to the next. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's go over a few reasons on why you may be attending this webinar tonight. You are on a mission to search for your next big career opportunity. I know you can definitely put in the chat if you are doing that. I was in your shoes at one point, and I knew that my resume had to be tightened up. So I am just happy to show you some of those things today. And you may be here because you want to learn how to best represent yourself on paper. If that's the case, you're in the right spot. If if you're here, you care about first impressions and you realize that they truly matter. Hashtag first impressions and matter in the chat or the comment section, because let me tell you, your first impression of your brand nowadays is your resume, because you can no longer attend different career fairs and so forth. All right, so you don't want to have a laughable resume. That's another reason why you're here, probably here. You don't want recruiters laughing at your resume for whatever reason. So that's why you need to tighten it up. But you're in the right spot, right? Okay. So did you know, I love starting off with these statistics. So did you know your resume is often the first or second impression of you when applying for a job? So it's the first impression of you because when you are applying online or provide to a friend or a colleague to give to their employer. Their employer, they're going to look at your resume and that is their first impression of you. And it's the second impression of you when you attend a job or internship fair. We're not doing that nowadays, but we're in person anyway. We're doing virtual career fairs. And a lot of times, depending on how the career fair is set up, the resume will be your first or second impression of you to the recruiter. So it just really depends on the situation. But I love throwing those facts in there. So another fact is, did you know recruiting managers often have to fight back tears of laughter when going through applicants' resumes? You guys, I'm not making this up. This is definitely true. I come from a 10-year plus background within corporate America and in the government. And you guys, I've seen it firsthand. People would submit their resumes and recruiters would literally laugh. They would be like, I can't believe this person even applied for this job. Did they even have their resume tightened up or anything? And the answer is a lot of times no. The resume was not ever looked at by anyone else but them. And it was full of mistakes. So we're just going to go over some of those today. But first, I want to give you some more statistics. So did you know 1 in 5 recruiters will actually reject a candidate before they finish reading their resume? It's so true, you guys, and we'll go into that later. And then 5% of applicants are dishonest when describing their previous roles or the time they spent in a job. Guys, you got to be honest. You got to be honest. You don't want to be part of that 5%. And 10% of job seekers have applied for 50 or more jobs without even hearing back. You guys, your resume is so important because I like to put it this way. It gets you an invite to the party you want the most, and that's the invite to the interview. If your resume isn't tightened up, guess what? You don't get an invite to the interview. So again, that is why we're here tonight, so you can get your resume tightened up. So we keep throwing around this word resume. What does it mean? What is it? It's a marketing tool used by job seekers such as yourself to present a snapshot of their personal brand, or what I like to call it is the you brand. And the you brand is what you know and what you think about yourself. If you don't believe that you got this skill set, you probably shouldn't put it on your resume, because you probably can't speak highly of it in an interview. So listen, it all correlates. It all correlates. And also, you have noticed that I have the word resume with different accents over it. I love to emphasize that that is how you really spell resume. If you spell it without the accents, guess what? It says resume, and that's not a resume. So if you ever see that, I know now you're going to be like, well, it deserves some accent to it, right? So I like to play this game. It's called What's Wrong with This Resume? So if you all can just put in the chat as to what's wrong with this resume on the next slide, I would love for you to recognize what's wrong. All right, here you go. I'm going to check the chat to see if you all see anything.
Oh, come on, people. You're in there. I see you guys, but nobody's saying anything because I see some things wrong with it.
Yes, it's a lot wrong.
Anybody gonna say something? I guess everyone's shy tonight.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. Oh, here we go. We got something in the chat. References. Kimberly says references.
Yes, it's a lot wrong with the references. So let's just talk about that. So it says references unavailable because they were all burned up in a fire. Like who put that up there? Who does that? But the fact of the matter is there are people that do that very thing and think it's okay. And think it's okay. I cannot make this stuff up.
You're
Another
right.
thing.
Amy says almost everything is wrong with this resume.
Yes, absolutely. But you guys, this is good. The fact that you are actually recognizing this, that something is wrong, means you're halfway there. You're halfway there, and you tightening up your resume for your future employer to see. So another thing that's just kind of off is it talks about, additional experience. It's a salary, listed dates, titles not aligned. Yes,
Yeah.
all of that is wrong. But I wanted to talk about the additional experience. It says general life experience, fiber. It's all over the place. It's all over the place, right? So this is, I'm going to go on to the next one. All right, look at this summary on the resume. It's a lot wrong with this one as well. And I'm just gonna, you can put them in the comments and everything, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, first off, it's nothing wrong with using big words, or having a extravagant vocabulary. It's nothing wrong with that. However, there's a time and place. You do not need to have it saying adjudicating, promulgated, inexorable. Like, no. And when I looked at this entire resume, because this is just a clip of this resume, it had nothing to do with the position the person was applying for or what their skill sets were really in. So it was just a bunch of words put together. And that is not what your resume is. Your resume should not be a bunch of words put together that you think may look good to an employer. No. And this is another one. It says, this is one of the comments I saw when this resume was posted. I actually saw this resume posted and I was like, wow, this is so crazy. It says, going through resumes and came across this. Sir, I don't think I'm going to hire you to work with the kids. Listen, this person was going up to work with children in a child care center. This has nothing to do with him working in the child care center. So again, I tell you, have your summary match the job that you are going after or your actual skill sets that you will be using in the career that you are seeking to go after. All right, so let's jump into resumes don'ts. That was a great segue to jump right on into that because we definitely talked about a lot of the don'ts. But I want to really focus on this because I need you guys to know that it's not okay to not have a tightened up resume. So we need to focus on the don'ts. So first one is lie to avoid discussing your past. Listen, one thing that I really hone in on my clients and anyone, you have to be authentic. Lying is not authentic. Trying to avoid what you've been through is not authentic. A lot of times, what you've been through is a really good story and a really good segue into how you got from point A to point B. You just need to know how to say it right. That's why you invest in yourself, get career coaches, and so forth like that. But the fact of the matter is, you should not lie. A lie will catch up with you. I've seen it happen time and time again to other people that I've worked for, and now we got a whole nother issue to deal with, right? So definitely don't lie, you guys. So horrible formatting is definitely a don't. You want to keep your resume as precise and clear. Horrible formatting, it sets you up for the recruiter to look at your resume in a way that, why is this not aligned here? It just causes a lot of confusion, and you don't want that. Again, the recruiter doesn't have 10 whole minutes or even 5 whole minutes to look at your resume. So just make it easier for them and have it in a chronological order or whatever order you need it to be, depending on the position you're going up for. So another one is don't insert headshots. There's no need for them to see your lovely faces. Why would, this is not the time or the place. This is not the document for that. Never insert headshots. So screenshots, don't screenshot or take a picture of your resume to send to a recruiter or to submit online. Listen, if you saw the first resume that I showed so we can talk about it, that was actually a screenshot. Somebody actually had took a picture of their resume, sent it to a recruiter. That is a no-go. There are applications out there that you can use. There's so much technology. You can scan it in, send it to the recruiter. You can use different applications out there that will help you get your resume on your phone if you don't have it on your phone at that moment and you need to send it to them ASAP. There's different ways. So another way is don't give your resume to every company at the career fair, whether it be virtual or in person. You need to have a strategy. Not everybody deserves your resume. Think about it like that. Not everybody deserves my resume. And when you don't have a strategy or you're just giving it out to any and everybody, that means you don't really have a career strategy. You don't really know where you want to go within your career path. And you know what? That's okay. But I would encourage you to definitely get help with that, or just sit with yourself. Ask yourself this simple question: what is it that I enjoy doing? And go from there. Write a list and go from there. Next is don't have an unprofessional email address and file titles. You all, I personally never went through that, but I used to have a email address and it was entitled QT for show at, I think at the time, AOL.com. but but the fact of the matter is I did not have a professional email address at all. And I would never put that on any type of resume because that, first off, that is not how I wanted to represent myself. So, but I would see this time and time again from other people submitting their resumes to jobs and different things like that. And they thought it was okay. But I'm like, listen, this is your resume. You do not want this on your resume. Change your email ASAP. Have it your first dot last name. And we'll go over more of that when we get to the do's of the resume. So another one is don't have misspelled words or have grammar errors. I mean, I know we love the lovely feature in Word, the spell format, the spell checker. I know we love it. I know we love that button, right? But press it. But also definitely read it. Read your resume. And have someone else read it too, because you need more than one set of eyes on it because it's such a precious document. So another don't is don't hide your experience gaps. Yes, a lot of us may be having experience gaps right now because we're in the COVID season and you may have gotten let go from your employer for whatever reason. But don't hide that. Make sure that in the gap season, make sure that you are doing something that elevates your skills, that enhances your skills along the way. And then you can add that to your resume. It'll be a resume builder, but it'll also not just be a resume builder. It'll be something that you are really doing and enhancing. And you can speak to that within your interview. So don't hide it. There's different ways around this, you guys. Anybody have a question? Any questions so far?
I have one. Can we get an example of how to address an employment gap?
So like I was just saying, so if you got let go from your job for whatever reason in the COVID season, and let's say you still don't have any employment, or you still don't have any employment right now, but you are going up for a position, and you're telling them, like, listen, right now I'm working on this, I'm enrolled back in school, I'm working on this trade, I'm doing such and such. Do something. I caution people not to do anything. You want to always be doing something, working towards your craft, working towards your career field that you want to be in, even if you're not currently working in it, and the skill set you will add within your resume in the appropriate spot. So did that answer your question, Jeanette?
Sort of. So can I put, so hypothetically, let's say COVID March 2020, and say it's October 2020 and I'm still unemployed. Can I put March 2020 to October 2020 as should I list the dates out and then put a blurb in there?
No, I do not suggest
Okay.
that you list the dates out and put a blurb in there. However, I do suggest that whatever skills that you were working on, maybe you took a course or something like that, definitely add it to the skills section of your resume, or additional the additional informational courses that you may have taken.
Okay.
That correlates to the career, of course, that you want to go into.
Okay.
All right. That was a very good question. Thank you for that. Don't include reference upon request. Yes. I'll be honest. So a lot of the jobs nowadays, they don't typically ask for references, especially if you're experienced. If you're experienced in your career field, they're not going to really ask for references. Now, they may call your supervisor or so forth, or whoever, that they may request. But I do not suggest that you put it on your resume. It says, don't use an objective statement. So this is definitely optional. I tend to say, be caution the way you be careful the way you take this, because you can have an objective statement on your resume, but if you are need more space in your resume, for example, if you need more space in your resume and you're going up for the same position but in a different employer, then I would say remove it, because your experience is going to really speak heavily on that position, if that makes sense. It's really all about the formatting of your resume. And I've done a couple of resumes like this before, and it's worked out in that person's favor because they're going from one employer to the next, but it's the same position. So of course their experience is speaking to what they have done in that position. Using multiple fonts is definitely a no. Definitely you want to make it easy on the recruiter or whoever is looking at your resume. It's just using multiple fonts just messes with your eyes. Personally, I've done it, I've seen it before, and I'm just like, oh no, I'll go on to the next. You don't want the recruiter saying on to the next with your resume. And so the next don't is send or submit resume as a Word document. When you send your resume as a Word document, you're basically sending someone a file that they can manipulate. And that is not what you want someone to do. This is your precious document. This is the document that speaks to your brand. This is the document that says, I am indispensable. You need me. I'm absolutely necessary. So anything that's on it does not need to be changed by anybody. So don't even allow someone the opportunity to do so. Not to say they would, but this is your precious document and you have to truly act like it is. So I suggest that you send your resume PDF format all the time. Another don't is don't have more than one page and have very little experience. So I said don't have more than one page and have very little experience. So I've seen this too because people, they try to exaggerate their experiences. And I'm like, listen, no, you really need just one page. You have not been in the working world 5+ years. So why are you having more than one page? I've worked with multiple people where they have 10+ years of experience and they've gone from one job to the next. Now, of course, they're not just going to have one page. We're going to try to get it down to one page, but 1 to 2 pages is good for them because they've had plenty of experience. So that concludes the don'ts. Before I move on, is there any more questions?
Yes, Adrian says, how do you address re-entering the job market? Current status for her is retirement.
Okay, I'm reading it now. How do you address re-entering the job market? Oh, so are you retired or are you going to be retired?
She's retired right now. She wants to
Okay.
get back into the market.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't know what type of career field you're looking to get into, but as I was saying with the job gaps, you would definitely want to highlight any skills that you've learned over the years or that what you've been doing in order to get back into that career field.
Adrian, do you want to respond? You want to
Yes.
say anything in the chat? Also from Facebook, I have Sybil says, recruiters ask for a Word doc so they can include their header and cover your contact information. This avoids the employer contacting you directly to escape the recruiter fees.
Oh my
This is
goodness.
true.
Oh.
This is true. There's
Oh
also,
wow.
yeah, they also have some applicant tracking systems don't read PDFs well. So
That is true. That is
yes.
true. So let me rephrase how I word that one. So you want to send it. So when I'm talking about sending it PDF, it's like either to a colleague. I would never send a PDF to a Word document to a colleague who I want to submit my resume to one of their recruiters or HR representatives. Never do that. Because that at that time, you know whose hands it's going to be in. It's going to be in your friends. It's going to be in the HR recruiter hands at their particular job. So if they have the inside scoop, I would never send it as a Word document. I hope that clears that up.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have any more questions right now.
Okay.
And Adrian didn't respond to your response. Maybe she will in a moment.
Okay. Until then, I'll just keep moving on. So how do you build the ultimate resume, you guys? How do you build a resume that will look indispensable to the employers? So I'm going to go over 5 elements of an effective resume. So number 1, we kind of already talked about this in the don'ts and how you should make it easy for the employer to look at your resume. So you want to be as simplistic and minimal on your resume. One of the most important elements of a resume is easy. You want it to be very strategic, of course, very strategic in how you lay out your skills, of course, but you want it to ultimately be easy to read for the recruiters. So recruitment studies show that on average, recruiters spend only about, how long do you think, you all? Is it 30 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds, or 60 seconds looking at a resume during the hiring process? Anybody?
Okay, here we go. I see Kimberly says 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Now you would think it's 60 seconds, right? But say for instance, the recruiter has just tons of resumes to go through.
Sandra says B, 15 to 20 seconds. Sybil says C, 5 to 7 seconds.
Okay, Sybil, you know what? That is completely right. C is the right answer.
C
is definitely the right answer. It always blows my mind to even know that, because I'm like, well, wait, I didn't put so much effort in this document. Like, man. But that just goes to show you how important this document must be, right? It must be strategically laid out so that recruiters can see your skill set right then and there. Like, listen, I need to know, is this person what I need or not what I need? And the fact that your resume, you take so much pride in it and putting it together, that's like half the battle right there sometimes. but really, you want to make sure that this document speaks to your abilities the easy way, right? Easy way. Again, it's very strategic with it. It's very strategic. So how do you simplify your resume? You make sure your resume is formatted or arranged clearly. Clearly, you guys, clear and concise. That's what you want, clear and concise. You choose a simple font. So you can do Times New Roman, Arial, and I'm not saying you have to use those fonts, but I'm just giving you some examples with a font size of 10 to 12. 10 to 12. If I'm working with somebody who has a lot of experience, a lot of times I tend to go with the size 10 font, so we can get stuff on their resume, and not have it super lengthy, because who's going to read all that? Next is use bullet points instead of paragraphs. I tell people to use the bullet points. Do not paragraph it up in your resume. Nobody wants to read a novel just to see what you have going on. No. You want to be straight to the point. And I'm not saying that using paragraphs is wrong. Not saying that. It really depends on how your resume is going to be structured. So, and another one is you want to include a universal objective, so you can have like the same resume to pass out at the job or career fair. Now, this is optional. Like I was saying earlier, this is completely optional. Okay. It really depends on what type of employer you're looking at, or what type of position you're looking at. Is it the same position but different employer, or is it a different career, and so forth? It really depends on your particular situation. Is there a question? Did somebody respond?
So it says, oh, you see it?
I see it, but let me finish this thought and then I'll go back to it. So, and then, for example, so if you're seeking a career opportunity with a progressive organization, which will fully like utilize acquired skills and so forth. And so this is basically an example that I was giving you of a accurate summary that you should have on your resume. And this is like a versatile one. It's a versatile one. It's not so pinpointed on the position. Now you can have some summaries that are strictly to the point to that particular position. It just really depends on how you want to structure your resume and what type of career field you're in and so forth. All right, so let me go back to the chat. Their retirement activities on PMP certified. Okay. Okay, so you have been doing things. See, these are things that you want to highlight on your resume. And I'm assuming since you just got certified as a Agile Advanced Scrum Master in May, you want to stay in that type of career field. I'm assuming. So if that's the case, then you definitely want to add that to your resume. Add that to your resume ASAP, and then send it off so they can see that you've been working. You've been trying to elevate your skills during this season.
That's
Okay.
good.
All right. So let's move on.
So would you suggest, so I know some recruiters say no objective, some say summary.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So do you have a diehard rule that you like personally? A
About the
summary,
summary?
or you like a summary?
No, are you asking, do I have a diehard rule on what to
Yeah, like,
have?
because some recruiters say no objective and they want a summary and no objective. And then some say neither summary or objective. What do you, or when you're
I
working with clients?
definitely I suggest you always have a summary. I always have a summary. Now, the objective is definitely optional in my case, because it really depends on that situation. So I would either suggest, depending on your career situation, I'll suggest, you should add an objective, keep your objective in there, because you're going from you're looking at a different career field. And that's what I specialize in, people transitioning from one career to the next. So there is a need for the objective, because a lot of times their experience isn't really speaking to what they want to transition to. But we try to, I work with them to help them emerge their transferable skills so that they can see this is not an impossible career field for you to enter in. There is hope. You can do it. But it's just a way of how you lay it out on your resume.
I see. Thank you.
All right, so I will move on to the next one. So number 2 of an effective resume is your contact information. I know you all are like, oh, this is so simple, but something so simple can be so wrong at times, and you don't want that to happen to you. So, for example, I've had people that are applying for jobs, not necessarily they work for me, but they'll tell a story and say, I applied for this job and I accidentally fat fingered my phone number or my email address. So they couldn't get in contact with me, even though they wanted to get in contact with me. I'm like, well, whoa. Well, did you look at your resume? Did someone else look at it? And a lot of times it's a no. It's kind of like, oh, I just pushed submit and kept it moving. But that very mistake cost them probably a whole job offer. So you never want to fat finger or try to have information in your contact section of your resume that is off. You want to have most up to date information, and so that they can contact you. Period. And so here you have like the physical address. You put that up there in the contact section. Now this is really on your preference. You don't necessarily have to write your full out address. You don't have to do that. But a lot of times, people want to know, okay, where are you? Do you have to relocate? Are you local or something like that? A lot of times that goes through other people's heads, because and it might go through yours as well, because listen, if you're trying to relocate, then you might want to look for employers that will pay for relocation. So that, I'm getting into all the nitty gritties of it, but these are some things that you just need to keep in mind when you put your contact information up there. Also, the email address piece. So I know I said in the do not have a unprofessional email address. In my example, I gave you mine that I had was cutie for show. I said I would never put that up there. So what you do is do your first name, your last name, or you can switch it, last name, first name. You can say at Gmail or whatever search engine that you use. at Yahoo or Hotmail or something like that. But make sure that it's very professional. And for my college students, it typically you can use your school email address, but if you want to use your personal one, go for it. But just make sure it's professional. And always add your phone number. So the last thing is, always remember to double check for inaccuracy of your contact information, because you do not want to miss that phone call or that email that the recruiter may say, giving you, the invite to the party, which is the interview. Any questions with that one? All right, so let's go on to number 3. You need to have relevant experience on your resume. Relevant experience. I'm not talking relevant experience. So include professional experience that aligns with the position of interest. The position of interest. You don't want to talk about anything that is, so for example, let me give you an example. If you are going out for a accounting job, right? You don't want to have anything on your resume about, oh, I used to work as a bartender and doing drinks and stuff like that. No, that's not relevant information. And that may be an extreme example, but I've seen it before and I'm like, listen, we don't need to highlight that skill set because you're not going out for that type of position. So definitely keep your resume with relevant experience. It is the core of your resume. I like to call it the body. It's the body. It's where people really go to look at, what have you done? What is the impact that you've made with the company that you have worked for? So, and a lot of times you find that within the relevant experience piece. So some of the things in your relevant experience, you want to have your accomplishments. You want to highlight what you're most proud of within your current position or in the positions that you've already had. Also, you want to have standout results. And I give an example right here. So a bad example is trained employees on a new method of accounting. Okay, that's cool, but it's also like a so what factor. Okay. And then a good example of that is facilitated training on a new method of accounting for approximately 95% of the company's employees. So you're giving statistics, you're giving data. This is what you need to have in order to help you stand out. But going on, it says, as a result, employees understood the new method and the company was able to comply with national regulations in record time. Like, boom, you see how impactful that person has been. You see how the capacity, at what capacity they were, operating at. And it no longer just says trained employees for a new method of accounting. This definitely elevates your resume, elevates the brand that you're trying to portray, the brand that you're trying to message to the recruiters with your resume. And that's what you want. Any questions on that before I move on?
I don't have any.
Okay. And these are just some of the words. It says how to pick the right resume keywords. And this is for when you are actually filling out the core or the body or the relevant experience within your resume. I just have some of those keywords right here. So you want to use words like achieved, budgeted, negotiated, presented, queried, resolved, upgraded. You want to use words that truly speak highly of you. You don't just want to use regular words like I did accounting at a firm. Okay, that's cool and all, but tell me what else. Give me more information. So you want your resume to message to the recruiters to be that key crucial document that says, oh yes, I need this person on my team ASAP. Anybody have any questions about this wording? Does anybody have this wording in their resume?
I don't have any from Facebook.
Okay. So moving on, the next critical element of your resume to make it truly effective and make you look indispensable is relevant educational experience. Let's go back to our bartending example. So, of course, with bartending, you have to go get a bartender's license and stuff like that. But again, you don't want to put that in your relevant educational experience because it's not going or aligning with the job at hand, which is the accounting job you're trying to get. Nobody cares about that. So it doesn't need to be up there because it's definitely not relevant. Okay. So you want to include higher education information, list the following information, such as institution you attended, the degree you received, and it, of course, it's going to be strategically laid out, and we'll see some of that in a few other slides. You'll have your major, your GPA. I always say this is definitely optional depending on your situation. Now, if you had a crazy high GPA, like a 4.0, 4.65, whatever, go ahead and highlight that. But if your GPA was not so high, but guess what? You made it through. You made it through college. Listen, you don't have to put that up there. Have your experience speak for itself, or just make sure that you really highlight the skills on your resume that you bring. Got to be very strategic about it. Also, you want to have if it's relevant to the job you're applying for, and if space permits, list some courses that you had to take, trainings or any conferences you may have attended. Again, this is if space permits on your resume. I suggest that if your training that you've gone to is definitely relevant to the position you're applying for, add it up there. Make space up there. It's definitely imperative so people can see that you are a forever learner. You're always trying to elevate in your skills that you're going to bring to the table, the skills that you're going to bring to them as an employee. Any questions?
Mm-hmm. So Adrian noted age discrimination if you list the year you graduated. So I just recently took the year off of my resume.
Okay, so I see what she's saying. So yes, definitely. So yes, it really depends on your situation. I can't stress that enough. But in general, you will want to add that up there. Now, if you don't want to go through that age discrimination, I would definitely not list the year that you graduated. Yes, I do suggest that. Don't list it. Okay. Any other questions?
No. Somebody just popped in and said they're late, but no.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
All righty. So let's move on. The last element of an effective resume is list of skills, honors, and extracurricular activity. You want to always prove that you are, like I said earlier, a forever learner. You want to prove to your employer that yes, I am in extracurricular activities. My job is not the only thing I do, but I can also balance. You're showing people how you can balance your time management outside of your professional workplace. Also, in this area, you can definitely add organizations that you may be in within your employer, if your employer has that. But you definitely want to showcase other aspects of what sets you apart from your peers. And I give some examples on how to develop this particular section. So you want to talk about your skills that are relevant to the job. And I put PowerPoint, Excel, and all of that up there. But listen, you all of that should, it doesn't necessarily have to be up there. I just giving you examples. Now, if you're well versed in those areas, definitely do it. But don't just put it up there to just have something up there. No, because we want your resume to be authentic to you and truly speak to the skills that you have and you bring to the table. So also in this section, you want to include certifications you are studying for. So say for instance, you're going up for that accounting job. You're going to say, I'm a CPA candidate, or maybe you even have your CPA. You want to definitely showcase that because that's relevant and it shows your employer that you are truly trying to achieve something. You are truly in with this career field. Also, you want to talk about special honors or recognitions that you have. Maybe you are in an honor society. I listed Beta Gamma Sigma because I am a member of Beta Gamma Sigma. And you want to list what you are currently doing, what you are currently in, or what you previously did, depending on the years. You don't want to be listing anything on your resume that may have a 10 or a 15-year gap. I don't know what stage you guys are in your career field or career journey, but I'm just giving an example. So if in this example, Beta Gamma Sigma, if I had joined that, and this is strictly an example, if I had joined that organization in the 80s, no, it's okay. We need to see what else you're doing now. Also, you want to list any extracurricular activities which you participate in currently or have within the last 5 or so years. I saw someone say something in the chat. Were there any questions on this?
You see the comment from Adrian?
I'm trying to pull it up.
Sound is horrible. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Crystal?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was saying my sound is horrible. So Adrian says some recruiters / employers want to know where you received technical training, for example, global knowledge, voice boot camp, etc. So they want to know where you received the training.
Yes, and that's fine. You can definitely put that on your resume. Are you asking, can you put it on your resume or?
Oh, we'll wait for it. I'm not sure. But okay, so let me ask you this, Crystal. When we are trying to tailor our resumes for a specific job posting, can you talk to us about what we would do in that instance? So I see a posting for a senior accountant. And I see it with Department of Justice, and they have their requirements listed. The job description is there, but I already have a resume. Should I just submit my resume, or is there anything else I need to do with that? Like, I already have my resume. You wrote my resume for me for my last accountant job. Should I just send that one out?
So the easiest thing that you can do, and the easiest way I can put it is say no. You do not want to submit just that resume and not do anything, because you always want to look and see what type of skills over time you have accumulated, obtained. I'm assuming if you're not just leaving the position after 1 month. So of course, if I did your resume and you're going to a different employer already, then of course you wouldn't change it. But if it's been over a time, so over a year or more, then you want to definitely look at that job description. You want to see what type of skills they're looking for. You want to see what type of verbiage they're using in their actual job posting, so that you can take some of those words, filter it in within your resume appropriately, of course. But those are some of the things that you want to be mindful of. Don't just submit it. You want to actually have somebody look at it, right? So definitely try to tailor it to what the actual job posting is saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Were there any other questions on that section?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's bring it all together. We're gonna talk about. Oh, so I did. We can talk about. Let me see. Did have a slide to talk about what's right with this resume, but I think for the sake of time, we're gonna skip through this.
Oh, I do have a Facebook question. So you should tweak it to match the title or job description. Oh, I guess she's asking. So should you tweak your resume to match the job description when you're applying? Yes, but I'm thinking yes. Go ahead. You can expound on that, Crystal.
So again, we don't want to have like a copy and paste resume. We don't want that. We want your skill sets and what you're highlighting to still be true and still be authentic to you. However, the way, let me actually go back to this part. Okay, so if you see the good example, right? If you look at a job posting you're trying to apply for, maybe they use another word besides training. I don't know. Maybe they use another word besides, let's see. I would say another word besides accounting, but no, that's because you're trying to.
Oh, they could say coached employees,
right?
Or mentored
so maybe
employees, and didn't say train, and maybe you wanted to put that in there.
Exactly. So you want to be so strategic to the fact that, oh, okay, I have training on my resume. Maybe I'm gonna switch that word out right now and put coaching or any type of education wise or any educational word that you want to put on your resume that may align with what the job posting is saying. That's all I'm saying there. I'm not saying, oh, just go ahead and copy and paste the whole entire job posting to your resume. No, that's not what I'm saying. You have to be strategic with it. We want to highlight our skills and not necessarily any other skills. Again, we don't want to have a copy and paste brand. So when we try to do that or copy and paste the actual job posting to our resumes, that's having a copy and paste brand. We don't want that. And plus, the recruiter's going to be like, oh, they didn't put any work into this. No, on to the next.
So I have another question from Facebook. It says, I'm late, but I'm wondering if you covered the value in a CV over a resume. I'm not looking for jobs traditionally, and I'm more pitching opportunities, and was wondering if a CV would be more effective in qualifying my background. Therese, can you drop a little bit of more information when you say I'm more pitching opportunities? Can you just give us a little more information on what that would like? Are you pitching business to be self-employed, or?
That's what it sounds like, but I don't want to make any type of assumption.
I know Therese, so I'm not sure. Oh. I think it is that, but we'll wait for her. But you want to say anything about a value of a CV over a resume, Crystal?
Not in particular, because I mean tonight I'm just focusing on the resume.
Okay.
But I think I mean a CV is definitely valuable to have. So I don't know what her situation is, but if you're I guess from what I've heard, it may be you're trying to pitch your business to someone, to a company.
Well, so I don't know, Teresa, are you still there? It's a lag in this daggone Facebook thing. But I would say the CV would be more beneficial to a creative, which Therese is a chef.
Oh, okay. So
she's
that's
chef.
A whole different ballgame.
So she's a creative, and she's also a food historian and an anthropologist. So she has a lot. She's a creative. She's a creative and an intellectual. But for other people who are on this Zoom or on Facebook, and if you come to the table with, so I'm going into publications pitching a column or a museum chef in residence position, and it feels like a resume is limited. Yes, you need a CV, Therese. Yes, a CV would be best for you for that situation. Yes, and there are others here who might be on the live that you maybe you're looking to do some consulting work. And you come to the table with years and years of paid experience, whether it be consulting or traditional, job experience, but you want to pull out projects that you've worked on. You want to pull out, you want to highlight any publications that you have been in. You can even highlight a LinkedIn article on a CV if that LinkedIn article was a very say it got a lot of traction and it received a lot of response. So depending on what you're doing, but I definitely for creatives like Therese, but then there are a lot of you that are on here who are looking at self-employment opportunities, whether it is just, doing consulting work or traditional with a business, that a CV would be beneficial for you. And if you are doing both, so if you are in the market for a job, but you're also in the market to market yourself as self-employed, you might want to consider having a resume and a CV.
Yeah.
So.
Agree. I completely agree with you on that. So yeah, now that I understand her background better, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So I don't have any more questions. Please drop them. And I don't have any in the chat here. So you can go ahead, Crystal. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So you guys, so I just talked about the 5 effective elements of a resume. I hope you all definitely wrote those down. And now it's our time to bring it all together. So we're going to talk about a few of the resume types. You can have a chronological resume, a functional resume, a combination resume, or a targeted resume. Now, the chronological one is the one we see all the time. It definitely lists like your current employer, past employers, and so forth, depending, of course, on the experience that you have. So just want to go over some of the definitions of those. So again, like I was just saying, chronological resume is the most common one. It lists your work history in chronological order, most recent to your earliest, and it's preferred by most employers because it provides like a quick snapshot. It's like quick snapshot, you guys. And that's important because why? You only have 5 to 7, they really only spend like 5 to 7 seconds looking at a resume. So here's an example of a chronological resume. You see, it has, and this is just an example. So the cashier resume template, of course, that would be your name. And then you would list your address, your email, and so forth. And they have a summary up top. And of course, they have their professional experience from most recent to the earliest. Then education, and then their additional skills. Does anybody else, I'm just curious, have any other type of resume besides chronological?
Well, I myself, my sound sounds crazy. I don't know what I did. I have a functional resume and a chronological resume. And I have it. I don't use the functional anymore. I used to use it around the last recession. I stopped using it.
Okay.
But it was very effective for me because when you do a lot of different type of work, and my work was a lot project management. It was a way for me to highlight communication skills, problem solving, critical thinking, and I could highlight all of these things through projects that I worked on or objectives or initiatives that I worked on. And then
Right.
at the very bottom of the resume, or with the second page, listed all of my actual positions, the titles and the
Mhm.
employers. It was great. Recruiters loved it back then, before the last recession.
Mhm.
After after that 2008 recession, that was not a good resume anymore. And I'm giving a lot of information, but that's when recruiting was different. That's when a headhunter really headhunted and found you. And they would say, we want people who had communication skills. We want people who problem solve. We want people who managed X amount of teams in
Mhm.
this way. And you could see all of that in my resume. Well, the market changed. And now people wanted to know, well, what have you done in the last 2 years? I don't care if you
Yeah.
did all of this. What have you done in the last 2 years? And so I have a chronological resume. I still have a functional, and I use it to I use it for the example that you gave, and how this person facilitated training for 95% of the organization. That's how my functional resume reads.
Mhm.
So I use it to take those key tasks, the STAR method, right off of my functional
Yes.
resume to put into my chronological resume.
So that's really good. That's really good, and exactly what you should be doing. So basically, Jeanette, they told you what a functional resume was. It focuses on skills, experiences. It doesn't really highlight like the dates or emphasize the dates in which you have worked. It just mainly highlights your actual skills that you're bringing to the table and what you have done in order to enhance those skills and the impact you have made.
Yeah, and I wish that we would transition back to a functional resume, because
Yeah, I
I
wish it wasn't so like, oh, I don't want this type of resume. Well, just read it. Look at
yeah,
it.
because I really believe that the functional resume, much like a CV, allows you to demonstrate your
Mhm.
best, where the chronological resume is where everyone is so hooked on the time. So what did you do in the
Yeah,
last 12 to 24 months? That's all anyone
yeah.
thinks about. But if I did it 4 years ago, what do you think? I don't have any, memory muscle. I lost it. I can still do it,
Mhm.
but that's for another day. Let me get off my soapbox. But okay, I'm turning
No,
it back over to
but
Crystal, guys.
that's a really good conversation to have.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as she was saying, so this is just an example of a functional resume. Of course, you have your qualifications, you have the relevant skills that you have, and then of course on the bottom, which is de-emphasized, is the places that you worked and the length of time and so forth. So a combination resume, it's a mix of your chronological resume and other skill sets that you may have. So really, Zanette, your resume that you were referring to, it kind of sounded like a combination because you said you have the functional, but you said the chronological was at the bottom. Now, did the chronological read like a chronological resume?
Well, now my chronological resume is chronological, but
Okay.
the functional information is definitely in my key contributions. So in my
Okay.
key, where I highlight my key
Mhm.
contributions, a lot of that
Yeah.
I pull straight from my old functional resume, right? Because
Yeah.
those in my old functional resume, I told you, how much money did I save? How much money did I spend? How many
Mhm.
people did I hire? How many people did I fire? Or did I lay
Right.
off? How much money, how big was the budget savings? So those are the things that I
Mhm.
said in the functional resume, but they were under key areas, whether it was communication, finance management, right? So instead of them being
Mhm.
under those key areas, now they're under the positions. So it is a
Gotcha. Yes.
combination of both.
Yes. And I love working with like the combination resumes because you get to show the value that you added to the company.
Yeah, to each individual position. Yeah, that is
Mhm.
true. I do have some questions. So,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah, I have from Rhonda. She says, "What is the most important thing you think should stand out on your resume?"
The body, the relevant experience.
Your relevant experience.
That is what needs to stand out. That is what needs to
That's a
stand
great
out.
question. This is true. I think we've been learning more. I know everyone that's on the Zoom and in the live tonight is not a CDPD member. You need to join us. But this has been a reoccurring thing that we have been hearing from. We heard this from Maggie. What was that, Tuesday evening? That it is experience, what you know how to do. Right?
Yes.
That is most important, more important than the credential behind your name.
Oh,
Is the
that's a
experience.
whole nother conversation too. Because let me okay, I'm sorry to cut
No,
you off.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're
I
good.
was gonna say that I've worked with plenty of people in corporate America and in the government that has a ton of acronyms behind their name, but they really don't have a lot of value to add. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, so looking at their resume, I mean, they have all these letters behind their name, but they're just that. They're letters. You don't talk about your value. You don't talk about anything else. So I just want to encourage you guys to, seek certifications, but at the same time, learn your skill set that you're doing and focus on the impact that you're making throughout your career journey. Because there's a lot of people like myself, I did not have any type of certification within my career field. So I was a IT person and I also was in the accounting field. So AIS, Accounting Information Systems. I didn't have anything behind my name. I did have my master's in business administration, but I was well respected. People knew the impact that I was making, so forth. So that's how I was able to land job after job when I was in my 9 to 5 career journey.
Yeah, this is a reoccurring theme. We keep hearing that it's the skills and experience that you bring to the table, because you can have all the training, guys. You can have all the training. You could take the training, sit through it, and do what we used to do. Remember, you had that spelling test every Friday, and you studied the words on Thursday night or Friday morning. You took the test, but then if your mother asked you the same question on Saturday, how do you spell snuffleupagus? You couldn't, right?
Right.
You just studied for the test. Well,
exactly.
That's what a lot of people with certifications and degrees do.
That's what they do.
They study for the test to get the certification, and then when they don't ever use those skills. So if you are going to go out for certifications and trainings, bring those skills. Which I always, if any staff member of mine asks me to go for professional development, they need to come back and teach it to the rest of the staff, because that's this way I know I didn't just spend $1,500 for you to have a day off, right? But use the skills, because if you use them, you're gonna actually learn them, you're gonna have them, and they're gonna enhance your marketability.
Exactly. This is one of my soapboxes. I could go on for hours talking about this, but I'm not. So, Jeanette, if you ever want to bring me back on,
you can come back on whenever you're ready.
Yeah. To talk about that topic in particular, I'm ready. Look.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just an example of like a combination. So you have, of course, your professional profile, your skill set, some relevant work experience, and education. So you see a little bit of mix. It talks about the impact. It talks about, what you did on the job, the tasks you had, and the responsibilities. So it's a little bit of mix. The next one is the targeted resume. Now, have you worked with anybody that has had a targeted resume before?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, I have not either. I wouldn't say these are so common, but if like, so for targeted, of course, you're targeting a specific job. Like you saying, like, look, I know, and I'm gonna show you an example. This person knows they're going up for executive marketing director. So they're going to put that particular position on their resume. Now, they've had a lot of executive performance, as you see. So they're going to highlight those certain skills. And that's what you do with a targeted resume. You hit it like boom, boom, boom. And you hit those skill sets that you need or that the job position requires, specifically like this.
So then this person is just going to apply for a bunch of executive marketing director positions.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They like, oh, I know what I want. I'm just going
This is
after
it.
it, and this is it. This is it. So, okay. That basically concludes the types of resumes. So, and a lot of people ask, what resume type should you choose? It really depends on your situation and where you're at in your career journey. Maybe you're just starting out. If you're just starting out, I would definitely go with the chronological slash functional, depending on how many years you may have had. And just because you have a year of experience doesn't mean that you haven't made a huge impact. You probably have. I don't know. I would need to talk with you. So that concludes my presentation on resume reconstruction. I hope you guys have definitely learned a lot of information. Thank you, Zanette, for definitely chiming in there. But if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to ask.
No, thank you. I don't know what's up. My sound sounds funny tonight. I have some comments. Thank you. I see what I should be what the focus should be on in terms of skills and experience. Yes, we love the knowledge. Please come back. All of the efforts are appreciated. So if you are on Facebook and you have a question, drop it. You know, I always see it late. I'm getting ready to ask Crystal my 3 questions, but I will check the feed. Okay. So this presentation, of course, CDPD crew will be available in our group to for replay, and I will post it up on our new YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe to our channel. All right. So I have my 3 questions for Crystal.
Okay.
So Corona Daze Professional Development Group. Our group is, I developed this group to service people from marginalized groups, and part of our mission is to help marginalized groups get connected to resources, job training, education, and mentorship, right? And of course, I created this group in response to record unemployment rates stemming from COVID-19. But my question to you is, have you ever considered yourself to be a person who was marginalized? And if so, how?
I wouldn't say so much marginalized. I guess at some point in my career journey. But I definitely had to change my mindset in that area and understand, what I have to add to my employer, to my team. It really matters. And to definitely take the